Ever catch your man zoning out when you're talking to him? Is he ignoring you or just laser focused? Let's find out what's really going on in his brain. Did you know men's brains are wired differently from ours? Stick around to find out what this means for your relationship. Ever wondered why men seem so focused when they're working on something, or why they sometimes just want to be left alone? It turns out it's all in the brain. The male brain is wired differently, especially when it comes to communication, emotions, and decision-making. For starters, men's brains are, on average, 10% larger than women's. But don't jump to conclusions. Size doesn't equal intellect. It's actually the distribution of brain matter that matters. Men tend to have more gray matter, which is responsible for logical thinking and problem-solving. This could explain why men are more action-oriented and often less verbal compared to women. In fact, when they're deeply focused, it's because their brains are zeroed in on a specific task, tuning out external distractions. Think of it as their brains being more like a laser beam, narrow and precise, rather than a wide-angle lens. Interestingly, men are wired to focus intensely on one thing at a time. Research suggests that their brains are built for single-tasking, while women tend to be better at multitasking. So, when a man seems like he's not listening, it's probably because his brain is so focused on the task at hand. His brain isn't ignoring you, it's just processing one thing at a time. Here's an interesting tidbit. Studies also show that men have a higher number of neurons in areas associated with coordination and movement. So, men might be more inclined toward physical activities or tasks that require strong coordination, which could explain why they're often drawn to sports or hands-on tasks like fixing things. This is a natural inclination in men, not just a preference. They're wired for action and motion. Ever wonder why your man won't talk about his feelings? It's not that he doesn't care. Let's uncover the real reason men struggle with emotional conversations. Men's brains are wired for action, not always words. Keep watching to learn how this impacts the way they communicate. Men and women often speak different languages when it comes to talking about emotions. If you've ever found yourself frustrated because your partner won't open up, you're not alone. Men approach communication from a different angle. For instance, men often prefer to fix problems rather than discuss emotions. It's not that they don't care, they just feel that doing something about the situation is more effective than talking about it. So, when a man responds to a problem with, "We'll fix it," he's doing what feels natural to him. Women, on the other hand, may want to talk about their feelings to feel heard. But neurologically, men's brains prioritize action, so they might instinctively go into fix-it mode rather than offer comfort. And while women's brains activate regions linked to empathy, men's brains are more focused on goal-directed thinking. It's like a built-in difference in communication style. This doesn't mean they don't care, it's just how their brains are wired to react. Here's an interesting tidbit. Men's brains have fewer connections between the emotional processing and communication centers, which may explain why they sometimes struggle to put emotions into words. When they do express emotion, it's often through physical actions like offering to help or fix something, rather than talking about how they feel. The social context plays a huge role too. Men are often raised to keep their feelings to themselves, taught that emotions are a weakness. This has a lasting impact on how they express themselves in relationships, making the act of communication, especially about emotions, more challenging. Does your partner need alone time after a stressful day? It's not about you. It's about how his brain handles stress. Let's dive into why space is so important for men. Turns out, men's brains react to stress in a completely different way than women's. Another key point to understand about men is their need for space. If your partner asks for time alone, it's not a personal rejection. It's more about how their brain deals with stress. When men experience stress, their cortisol levels rise, and the best way they know to reduce stress is by being alone. Men often need time to decompress on their own, whereas women are more likely to reach out for emotional support. It's a biological response rooted in our evolutionary past when survival depended on having quiet moments to think, plan, and strategize. So when your man seeks solitude after a stressful day, he's simply recharging mentally. This need for space doesn't mean men don't value their relationships. It's just how they cope with stress. Think of it as a mental reset. When women understand this, it makes it easier to give their partner the space they need without feeling rejected or unloved. Here's something to consider. Studies have shown that men's brains react differently to stress than women's. Men tend to withdraw when stressed, while women are more likely to reach out for social support. This is due to the different ways stress hormones, like oxytocin and cortisol, affect their brains, resulting in different coping mechanisms. It's important to recognize that their withdrawal isn't about avoiding you. It's just their way of regaining balance. Does your man hide his emotions or seem distant? Let's take a closer look at why many men find it tough to open up and show vulnerability. Surprising fact: men feel emotions just as deeply as women. They just express them differently. Stick around to learn how. Let's talk about emotions. Men are often criticized for not being emotionally expressive, but the truth is, many are conditioned to suppress vulnerability. From a young age, men are taught to be tough and not show weakness. Unfortunately, this cultural expectation can make it harder for them to express feelings like sadness or fear. In fact, when men do express emotion, they often hide it behind anger or frustration. They may struggle to open up because vulnerability has been associated with weakness. Men are more likely to keep emotions like sadness bottled up, believing that showing those feelings makes them appear less masculine. But here's something surprising. While men tend to hide their emotions, they often experience them just as intensely as women. However, the way they process and express them is different. Research suggests that when men do express emotions, it's often through actions rather than words. For example, a man might express love by doing something thoughtful for his partner, like fixing something in the house or taking care of a task. This is a sign of care, even though it may not be the emotional conversation women often expect. Here's an interesting nugget. Men's brains have a lower activation of the brain's emotional centers when compared to women. This doesn't mean they feel less. It simply means their brains are wired to express emotions through physical activity rather than verbalization. So, the next time your partner does something thoughtful, understand that it may be his way of showing vulnerability. Ever wonder how fatherhood changes a man? Let's explore how becoming a dad rewires his brain and shifts his priorities. Fatherhood brings massive neurological changes. Keep watching to understand how these changes impact his relationship with you and his family. Fatherhood is a profound experience that triggers significant changes in a man's life, both neurologically and emotionally. One of the key shifts is the surge in oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which strengthens the emotional connection between fathers and their children. This hormone makes men feel deeply attached to their newborns and more protective of them. However, fatherhood is not just about nurturing, it also brings a heightened sense of responsibility. As men step into their new role, their brains adapt by prioritizing the need to provide and protect their family. This shift in focus can make them appear distant or less emotionally available, especially in the early stages of parenthood. This is a natural response, as they are adjusting to new responsibilities that require a focus on securing their family's well-being. As fathers embrace their new role, their sense of self-worth can change. Many experience a boost in pride and confidence from being the primary provider and protector. This desire to safeguard the future of their family can be empowering, but it may also lead to less emotional engagement initially as they focus on their duties. Once the adjustment period is over, fathers often become more emotionally present and nurturing, re-engaging with their families in deeper, more meaningful ways. Why do men thrive on competition? Whether it's sports, work, or even games, let's find out why men are so driven to win. Turns out, competition goes deep into men's psychology. Competition is an inherent part of male behavior. Whether it's in sports, at work, or in casual games, men thrive on the thrill of competition. Evolutionary psychology shows that men's survival depended on competing for resources and dominance. Today, This has transformed into a desire to win and assert their place in the world. Here's a fun fact. Men experience a boost in testosterone levels after winning, which further reinforces their desire to compete. But it's not just about proving superiority. It's also about self-esteem and camaraderie. Men often bond over shared competitive experiences, so when he's gearing up for a game or challenge, it's not about rivalry, it's about connection. Competition also plays a role in how men form relationships. They often gravitate toward competitive environments because it gives them a sense of belonging and achievement. This could be why some men seek out sports, gaming, or even business ventures where competition plays a role. It's more than just about the win. It's about feeling validated. Why do so many men struggle with mental health in silence? Let's uncover why it's so hard for men to talk about their feelings and how we can help break the stigma. Men are conditioned to suppress emotions, but it's crucial for their well-being to break this cycle. Stick with us to see how we can create a safer space for them to open up. Mental health is just as critical for men as it is for women, but unfortunately, society has often told men to man up and suppress their emotions. This has created a dangerous stigma, leading many men to struggle in silence with conditions like anxiety, depression, and stress. The truth is, mental health is often overlooked in men's lives because they feel ashamed to ask for help. They may view seeking help as a sign of weakness. This is why it's so important to encourage your partner to talk about their mental well-being and to be supportive without judgment. Here's a key insight. Studies show that men are less likely to seek professional help for mental health issues, often because they fear being seen as vulnerable. This isn't a sign of weakness. It's a product of how society has conditioned men to suppress their emotions. Breaking this stigma requires creating an environment of openness where men feel safe to express their emotions and seek the help they need. It's critical for their well-being and the strength of the relationship. Want to know the secret to a lasting relationship with a man? It's all about respect. But what does respect really mean to men? Respect isn't just about agreeing with him, it's about acknowledging his unique perspective. Keep watching to understand why respect is the foundation of a strong bond. Finally, let's talk about respect, one of the cornerstones of a strong, healthy relationship. Men, perhaps more than anything, crave respect. It's not about being superior or dominating, it's about being valued as an equal, as a partner. When men feel respected, they're more likely to open up emotionally, communicate better, and show more affection. It's a powerful motivator. In fact, studies show that respect is often more important to men in relationships than love. When they feel respected, their self-esteem rises, and they are more likely to invest emotionally in the relationship. Respect also extends to how a man's opinions, decisions, and actions are acknowledged. It's not about agreeing on everything, but about showing appreciation for the unique way he thinks and approaches situations. When respect is mutual, both partners feel heard, valued, and supported. This is the foundation for building trust, intimacy, and connection. So, if you want your relationship to thrive, remember this: respect is key. It's the glue that holds everything together, allowing both partners to feel safe, appreciated, and empowered. A little appreciation and acknowledgement can go a long way in fostering a strong, lasting bond. So there you have it, an in-depth look at how men think, feel, and behave. Understanding these core aspects of male psychology can help women build deeper, more meaningful connections with their partners. The key takeaway? It's all about respect, communication, and recognizing that men and women may have different ways of expressing love and emotions. When you can navigate these differences, you can foster a relationship that's built on mutual understanding and trust. Hold on, this journey isn't over yet. I've got another eye-opening video coming your way soon. What men should know about women. Trust me, it's going to be just as insightful. Maybe even more. So hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching June and Journey. If you loved this video, smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more awesome content. Remember, every relationship is unique. Understanding each other is the first step to building stronger, healthier bonds. I'll catch you in the next one.